In the early 1990s, two extraordinary natural events demonstrated the profound and interconnected nature of global environmental systems. The 1991 eruption of Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines and the subsequent 1993 storm of the century revealed the delicate balance of our planet's climate, showcasing how a single geological event could trigger a cascade of meteorological consequences that would impact millions of lives across the globe. Hello, and welcome to Deadliest Disasters, where we cover some of the most devastating events that happened throughout history. On June 15, 1991, Mount Pinatubo unleashed one of the most powerful volcanic eruptions of the 20th century. Located in the Philippines' Luzon Island, the volcano erupted with a violence that would reshape global climate patterns and human landscapes. The scale of the eruption was staggering. Approximately 10 cubic kilometers of volcanic material were ejected into the atmosphere, creating an ash cloud that reached an unprecedented height of 22 miles or 35 kilometers. The immediate human toll was devastating. Approximately 847 people lost their lives directly from the eruption, with an additional estimated 2,000 deaths attributed to indirect consequences such as respiratory diseases, infrastructure collapse, and subsequent environmental disruptions. Over 200,000 individuals were displaced, creating a humanitarian crisis that would take years to resolve. The economic impact was equally severe, with initial damages estimated at 100 million, a figure that would multiply exponentially in the years following the eruption. What made the Pinatubo eruption particularly significant was its massive injection of sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere. Approximately 20 million tons of this compound were released, creating a global atmospheric phenomenon known as a volcanic winter. The eruption triggered a measurable global temperature drop of 0.5 degrees Celsius, disrupting weather patterns and creating a ripple effect that would be felt for years to come. The volcanic aerosols created a reflective layer in the atmosphere, reducing solar radiation and altering fundamental climate dynamics. Jet streams were disrupted, temperature gradients were modified, and the entire global climate system experienced a profound disturbance. Scientists would later recognize this event as a critical moment in understanding the intricate relationships between geological events and global weather patterns. Against this backdrop of climatic instability, the storm of the century emerged in March 1993. The storm's intensity was likely amplified by the lingering effects of the Pinatubo eruption, with volcanic aerosols contributing to increased atmospheric instability. The 1993 storm of the century was a devastating cyclonic storm, or nor'easter, that formed over the Gulf of Mexico on March 12, 1993. The cold weather, heavy snowfall, high winds, and storm surge that the storm brought affected a very large area. At its height, it stretched from Canada to Honduras. The cyclone moved through the Gulf of Mexico and then through the eastern United States before moving on to eastern Canada. It eventually dissipated in the North Atlantic Ocean on March 15th. Heavy snow was first reported in highland areas as far south as Alabama and northern Georgia, with Union County, Georgia reporting up to 35 inches of snow. Birmingham, Alabama reported a rare 13 inches of snow, which was completely unheard of. The Florida Panhandle reported around 6 to 12 inches of snow, with hurricane-force wind gusts and record-low barometric pressures. Between Louisiana and Cuba, the hurricane-force winds produced high storm surges across the Big Bend of Florida, which, in combination with scattered tornadoes, killed dozens of people. Record cold temperatures were seen across portions of the southern United States and eastern United States in the wake of this storm. The storm was responsible for the loss of electric power to more than 10 million households across the United States. An estimated 40% of the country's population experienced the effects of the storm. In all, the storm resulted in 318 deaths and caused $5.5 billion in damages. That would be more than 11 billion in today's dollars. The greatest recorded snowfall amounts were at Mount LeConte in Tennessee, where 56 inches of snow fell, and Mount Mitchell in North Carolina, where 50 inches was measured to fall and 15-foot snowdrifts were reported. Every airport on the eastern seaboard from Halifax, Nova Scotia to Tampa, Florida was temporarily closed due to the storm. Highways were also closed or restricted all across the affected region, even in states generally well prepared for snow emergencies. The United States Coast Guard dealt with what they said were absolutely incredible and unbelievable conditions within the Gulf of Mexico. The 200-foot freighter Fantastico sank 70 miles off Fort Myers, Florida, and 7 of her crew died when a Coast Guard helicopter was forced back to base due to bad weather and low fuel levels. Several other vessels sank in the rough seas. In all, the Coast Guard rescued 235 people from over 100 boats across the Gulf of Mexico during the tempest. The cargo ship Gold Bond Conveyor, en route from Halifax, Nova Scotia to Tampa, Florida, sank in the Atlantic Ocean 60 nautical miles southeast of Sable Island and lost all 33 of her crew. It is thought that water entered the hold where gypsum ore was being stored and caused the rock to shift and harden. This instability compounded with winds of 90 miles per hour and multiple 100-foot waves that led to her sinking. The ship was owned by Scarab Shipping Corp. Of Greenwich, Connecticut, and under the charter to National Gypsum Co., which is a U.S.-owned company. The ship had previously survived what was known as the perfect storm of 1991, 2 years earlier, but unfortunately she and her crew could not survive the storm of 1993. Along with 100-foot waves seen in the Atlantic, storm surges in Florida and Louisiana reached up to 12 feet. This is way higher than with many hurricanes. With little advance warning of incoming severe conditions, some coastal residents were awakened in the early morning of March 13th by ocean waters rushing into their homes. More people died from drowning in this powerful storm than during Hurricanes Hugo and Hurricane Andrew combined. Overall, the storm surge, winds, and tornadoes damaged or destroyed 18,000 homes. A total of 47 deaths were in Florida alone. This was a fairly significant amount of the 318 total deaths seen from this storm of the century. Besides producing record-low barometric pressure across the swath of the southeast and mid-Atlantic states, the low produced a potent squall line ahead of its cold front. The squall line produced a serial derecho as it moved into Florida shortly after midnight on March 13th. Straight-line winds gusted above 100 miles per hour at many locations in Florida as the squall line moved through. Tens of thousands of trees fell from this system, damaging homes, cars, and businesses. The supercells in the derecho produced 11 tornadoes. Around midnight on March 13th, a tornado was reported in Newport Richey, damaging several homes and injuring 11 people. About 16 minutes later, an F2 tornado formed to the southwest of Ocala. Many trees fell and several storage buildings and a warehouse suffered extensive damage, while multiple hangars received major damage at the Ocala International Airport. At 12:20 a.m., approximately the same time as the Ocala tornado, another twister touched down near La Crosse. Several trees and power lines were downed and a few homes were destroyed. One person was killed and 4 others received injuries. About 10 minutes later, another F2 twister spawned near Howey in the Hills. It moved through Mount Dora, destroying 13 homes, substantially damaging 80 homes, and inflicting minor damage on 266 homes. Sadly, a 5-month-old baby was killed, while 2 others were injured. Despite all the rainfall and tornadoes, major amounts of snow also dropped in the panhandle regions of Florida. Areas saw snow of up to 1 foot near the coast and inland. In Tallahassee, around 1 to 2 inches of snow were dropped to the ground. In Jacksonville and Fernandina Beach, traces of snow were seen in the air, which was an incredibly rare event. Snow was seen as far south as Tampa Bay and Central Florida. Tallahassee's lowest temperature was 17 degrees Fahrenheit. On March 13th, Orlando saw 26 degrees Fahrenheit. These are all record-breaking low temperatures for this part of Florida. What emerged from these events was a profound scientific insight into the complex interactions of our environment. The Pinatubo eruption demonstrated how a geological event could fundamentally alter atmospheric conditions, creating a chain reaction that manifested in extreme weather patterns thousands of miles away. The volcanic winter created by Pinatubo contributed to unique meteorological conditions that likely enhanced the storm of the century's intensity. Altered jet stream patterns, reduced solar radiation, and increased temperature differentials all played crucial roles in creating this perfect storm of environmental chaos. These events represented more than just natural disasters, they were critical moments of understanding. Researchers gained insights into climate dynamics, volcanic impacts, and the interconnectedness of global environmental systems. The 1991 Mount Pinatubo eruption and the 1993 Storm of the Century stand as a testament to the extraordinary power of natural systems. They remind us of our planet's dynamic nature, how a volcanic eruption in the Philippines could trigger meteorological events across the Pacific, how geological fury can reshape climatic conditions, and how human societies must remain adaptable in the face of such overwhelming natural forces. Thanks for watching today's video on this devastating but important historical event. If you found this informative, please hit that like button and subscribe for more historical deep dives. And let me know in the comments what other overlooked historical events you'd like to learn about. Until next time, this has been Deadliest Disasters.